Corey here with Team Backcountry. Today I want to talk to you guys about choosing the right Crispi boot. They have a ton of options. They continue to bring more boots into the United States, and so we get asked a lot, what boots do you wear, why do you wear them, why not this, why this? Dustin, Jason, and I all have different opinions on what we like for boots. These are mine, I'll tell you what they wear. But the two boots I have in front of me, I've got the most first-hand experience with. I bought my first pair of Crispis about 5 years ago, wore them out. It was a boot that they don't bring into the country anymore. And then 2 years ago I got these two boots. I've got 2 full seasons in them, which you can tell they're nice and dirty and beat up and banged up. I've got the Idaho on my left here and the Guide on the right. This is a uninsulated boot. It is synthetic, still Gore-Tex, still waterproof, has the Vibram sole on the bottom, the ankle bone support system, as well as the Guide is going to be Vibram soled Gore-Tex. This does have 200 gram equivalent of Duratherm insulation, but this is going to be leather. It's a nubuck leather. It has definitely been my go-to boot for the last 2 seasons. They have the same Vibram sole on the bottom, so you can kind of tell which one I have more miles in, and it's definitely this leather boot. And the main reason why for me has been comfort. The pros of a synthetic boot is they can make it very, very lightweight, and it's going to be more breathable than any leather system. So you throw the Gore-Tex in both, this one's going to beat it out as far as weight and breathability goes. It's also a little bit less money, and they show that in the price. You know, this is a less expensive boot by I don't know, 70 or 80 bucks than the Guide is. For me, my feet don't overheat very often, and I always wear a good sock. Even on a hot 90-degree day in Nevada, these guys pull moisture out of that system fast enough that it doesn't bother me to have it, and that's my trade-off for, you know, having the comfort. And then even in Nevada, when we're hiking in at 90 degrees, we'll have a 25 or 30 degree day where this is still going to be comfortable. And one of the reasons why this breathes so well is that even though it's an insulated boot, is that insulation is a Gore-Tex product, and it's called Duratherm. And they adhere that to the Gore-Tex at the Gore-Tex factory, so they know that the insulation isn't going to ruin the breathability. And Gore-Tex has really strict standards for putting their product into an aftermarket, you know, into a boot. And so, because Gore-Tex doesn't make boots, they make Gore-Tex. So they have to pass a breathability standard from the Gore-Tex factory before Crispi's ever even allowed to sell this boot. And because they're not just slamming a bunch of Thinsulate anywhere in the boot they can, the whole thing insulates better, but it also breathes better. So it keeps you warmer when it's cool and cooler when it's warm. And so I have found myself, if it's September, I'm going to have this boot on. If I'm down south, if I'm on a New Mexico or an Arizona hunt, a true hot hunt, I'm probably still going to pack this. I like this boot quite a bit. It's just not as comfortable as leather. And I don't feel for myself that it breathes good enough, and I don't mind the weight. So I do lean towards the leather. I run the Guide because I like a taller boot. This is the same height boot. If you don't, and I run it because I want the extra support on my ankle. I feel like that's where, like wearing an ankle brace during sports, it just protects you. It adds we put ourselves, you know, we're 10 miles deep. We don't have access to phones. We don't have a way to get out and tell somebody something happened. And we're putting a lot of weight on our backs, and we are walking on uneven terrain. We got rocks that slip. I took a fall in Idaho that if I would have had a short boot on, I truly feel I would have broken something. But I had the extra support of a taller boot. If you like the shorter boot or you're trying to save weight, they do make the Nevada line. So they make a Nevada insulated, which would be the same boot, just 2 inches shorter, and now a Nevada uninsulated. And I know Dustin has a pair of those he really, really likes. He likes the shorter boots, especially early season. I think later in the season he runs this same pair. And then they also make this now in an uninsulated, and that'll probably be my next pair of boots when these things crap out. And then there's also a Hunter, which would be 2 inches taller than the Guide, and I believe a 400 grand equivalent to Thinsulate, but still the Duratherm. So great line of leather boots there. It's all in nubuck leather. You should really clean them every so often, and I should practice what I preach. If you like the synthetic boot and you're a guy that gets hot feet or really looking for that lightest weight boot possible, the shorter boot is going to be the Wyoming. Great boot. It's going to be the equivalent of the Nevada, but you know, going from the nubuck to the Cordura. Very durable. I think my leather boots have been more durable than my Idahos have been personally. You know, the soles are the same. I just feel like this boot is going to come apart first. You don't want them to, but you know, Dustin and Jason's dad always say you can't have nice things and do what we do, and these two boots show it. So the other boot for a go-to hunting boot that I'm really excited about is they have what's called a Rock Gtx. Haven't worn a pair yet. Saw them just bring them back into the country. It's very similar to the boot I started out with, Crispi. It's going to be the same height boot, but it is going to be a full grain leather rather than a nubuck. Full grain breathes a little better, and then they're running Primaloft insulation, which is a great synthetic insulation. I've got a couple sleeping bags made out of Primaloft, a couple jackets, and I'm excited to try that boot out. I bought these boots as like an early season scouting boot, and then you know, my go-to, you know, September on boot for Idaho, Utah, Nevada, Wyoming. And I think my next pair of boots will be the same, and I think I'm going to buy the Guide uninsulated, which I'm really, really stoked about, and then I'll probably either buy a Hunter or a Rock Gtx. I got to try a pair of those boots on, see if I like it. I like the Duratherm insulation in the Guide and the Hunter, so that'll probably make up some of the decision. They also make quite a few light hikers and some, I think, trail running shoes now. We're trying out a pair of Thors. I don't have enough hands-on experience. I like them so far. Just haven't played with them enough. So as soon as we get some time behind those, I'll be bringing you another review of those. This is just more for that go-to hunting boot. If you guys have any questions, feel free, put them in the comments. Reach out to us on Instagram at Team Backcountry. Anything you guys need, we can help with. We'll do our best. Thanks for listening, guys.